According to ancient Bajoran religion, a force will rise against the people.
The Dark wakes! Is it alive?
And only the chosen one will have the power to stop it.
If he dies, we all die.
Now O'Brien has been deemed their last hope.
Bloody hell!
And against his will becomes their new savior.
Without your protection, it will kill us all.
There's been a serious misunderstanding.
On the next Star Trek Deep Space Nine.
There's a bigger issue here. Just because a group of people belong to the Federation, it does not mean that they are saints. The trouble is Earth. On Earth, there is no poverty, no crime, no war. You look out the window of Starfleet headquarters and you see paradise. Well, it's easy to be a saint in paradise. Out there, all the problems haven't been solved yet. Out there are no saints, just people. Angry, scared, determined people who are going to do whatever it takes to survive.
What I want to know is, out of all the stories you told me, which ones were true and which ones weren't?
My dear doctor, they're all true.
Even the lies.
Especially the lies.
On behalf of the Bajoran government
And the Promenade Merchants Association.
I officially welcome you to Deep Space Nine.
Hello, everyone out there in podcast land. Welcome to Especially the Lies, a Deep Space Nine podcast, a part of the Front Row Network and NPR Illinois Community Voices. We're a group of newbies watching Deep Space Nine for the very first time, and a group of prophets who have been watching Deep Space Nine for far too long. And we are here today to talk about The Storyteller. I'm Scott, and with me is...
I'm Lily.
Jessi.
Christopher.
Prentice.
And Nicole.
Before we get started, a reminder to like, subscribe, follow, check all of the boxes, and click all the subscribes and stuff. We actually did have a live special earlier this week, and if you go to our YouTube and you click that notify bell icon, you'll know the next time we go live as well too, so make sure you do that. And be sure to join our social medias. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, and I'm sure other ones too. They're all listed down below. And also we have our Discord. If you join our Patreon at any level, you can get on our Discord, and right now we're ranking Star Trek movies, and interesting conversations are being had, so join us over there with our Discord, with our Patreon. And finally, if you can, please help us out by leaving a review. Apple reviews help us the best, but you can also leave reviews on Spotify, Audible, and your podcast app of choice. We did get another one in here from Crave1, and it is a great journey for old fans and newbies. If you were a follower of Grey 17, you know what you're getting, for better or for worse. Arguably, this is better as there's less to hate on an early DS9, unless you're Jessi. I've added that part.
Oh, I was like, what?
Then there is an early Babylon 5 for first-time watchers. So everyone is having a better time. It's a great bunch of seasoned fans and new viewers, and this is an excellent way to either enjoy the series for the first time or do another rewatch. Come on, you know you want to. Also, not Jessi is right. Jessi is super awesome and helps keep the others in line. She's indispensable. Why is every review now a Jessi review?
I didn't write that, nor did my husband. So thank you for listening and loving me.
Yeah, no shit. Everyone else still counts too. I want to point that out. But you know, if you look at the reviewers,
minus Prentice. Prentice keeps himself in line, so
somebody's got to do it. I will say too, it was in the news a few days ago that our illustrious El Presidente said that he would love for the United States to become a Commonwealth associate member of the United Kingdom. I shit you not, that actually happened.
I thought that was a joke, like a satire article.
No, it was not an onion piece.
No, for fuck's sake.
No, it was not.
So the reason why I'm bringing that up is we're number 45 as a TV review podcast in the United Kingdom. So if we do become subjects of the crown, at least we got some fans over there.
I mean, we fought an entire damn war to get rid of the monarchy, and Jesus Christ, I hate that fucking guy. It just
You can leave your reviews on Audible, Spotify,
Holy shit.
or Apple. Okay, let's go ahead and get into the Storyteller before we lose some more audience members. I believe
if there are any Trump supporters listening to us, you
Christopher?
have found the wrong show.
Christopher.
Please leave.
Christopher. Yes.
I missed Star Trek when it wasn't woke.
Yeah, that's how they show themselves. So leave them alone. They will weed themselves out.
Christopher, are you reading the synopsis for us this week?
Yes, I
Or
am.
no, or was it Jessi? It's Christopher. Okay, go for it.
Chief O'Brien is appointed spiritual leader of a Bajoran village. Meanwhile, Nog and Jake try to help their new friend settle a struggle between two Bajoran villages.
Their new friend, in quotation marks. Also, if Chief O'Brien wants to be a spiritual leader, I'm all for that, because I'm all for that.
As we discussed on the live.
As we discussed. Okay, let's go ahead and get into our first impressions. Our newbies, as a reminder, have not watched anything up to or beyond Storyteller. So, Jessi, your thoughts on the Storyteller?
I'm busy looking who's going to be at the Chicago Comic Con.
God's sakes.
Yeah.
It's like
Denise
having a
Richards.
show full of squirrels is all it
Denise
is.
Richards is going to be there, so you're all welcome.
She has an OnlyFans.
Get the fuck.
Just saying.
Holy shit. My
Scott's
head
a
hurts.
subscriber.
No,
Okay,
I'm
so
not.
this episode,
To clarify.
not butthole pics. I actually liked it. It was fine.
God, you know what? You get the better reviews out of this, and yet you give nothing for content. This is great. I love it. So
No,
much.
I liked it. We got to see a bucket. We got to see a bucket and some white
We did
shit
have a
come out of
bucket
it.
sighting.
So,
Yes.
show me
I
your
know.
bucket.
Show me your bucket. God damn. Nicole, show us your bucket. What's your first impressions?
Oh my God. I actually liked this episode. I thought it was fun. It was kind of like, I felt like there was like three plots going on in this one. You know, there was the talks between the two parties that Cisco was mediating. There was the storyline with, O'Brien being the Sarra. And then there was the Nog, Jake, and that girl kind of storyline. So I thought all of them kind of played together really well. Odo was the fun police, kept telling him not to be dangling, kind of busted them, getting into trouble and shenanigans. I didn't realize that girl, what was her name? Varis. I didn't realize how young she was. Like, I knew she was young, but I didn't know she was like a teenager. So yeah, that was kind of cute to see her and Nog and Jake kind of running around and them getting all flustered over her. O'Brien was just cracking me up this whole episode. I freaking love him so much. And it was so fun to see him and Bashir kind of have that little dynamic. Like when Bashir's like, do I annoy you? And all this other stuff. And you can call me Julian. And then at the end, he's like, you don't have to call me Julian. Like, I thought their dynamic was really fun because you could tell O'Brien is kind of like, ugh, God, But yeah, I thought this was a fun episode. Not heavy, not kind of like there was some heartfelt, like heavier moments, but overall, I thought it was kind of a more fun, funner's not a word, a more fun, lighthearted episode.
Nicole, I did say that this episode would potentially be where you start shipping people. And my thought was that you may ship Bashir and O'Brien, but it sounds like you're not.
Well, I kind of like the buddy cop, kind of like I would totally watch a duo of them like doing stuff because they kind of reminded me of like Grumpy Old Men or like The Odd Couple,
Yeah.
And I really, really liked that dynamic between them. So I would definitely watch more of them two together because I just think that they're so polar opposite, but also like their chemistry is really good together, I thought.
I just love watching it, and Julian is trying so very hard, and O'Brien's just not that into him.
Yeah.
Nicole, I mean, I wrote down, Bashir and O'Brien are the coworkers who are like opposite personalities. They can't stand one another, but they're able to find enough respect for one another to get the job done.
Yeah, totally.
If you have to kill an evil entity, those are your guys. Christopher, speaking of evil entities, what do you got?
Prentice, I fully agree with you.
You're just calling him out real fast.
No, I fully agree with him because he's always saying, poor Sirach, how he had to grow up in these spandex uniforms, and he was all over the screen this week. And yeah, sorry, buddy, like that has to suck. It was the second good episode in a row, I thought, and DS9 seems to be at its best when it's focused on like what's going on Bajor and not necessarily the aliens of the week, and the relationships between the crew were at the heart of this episode, and the plot points were there, but it was like the dynamics between, Jake and Nog and Varis and my Commander Cisco.
There was only okay. I was about to say there was only 3 of them, but yeah, okay. Cisco was kind of involved in that too.
Yeah, and the relationship between the 2 of them, and then Bashir and O'Brien, and as has been discussed, and that's what made the episode.
Poor Jake, he had to wear a carpet and he didn't even get kissed. Nog got kissed. Prentice, first impressions.
This is a forgettable episode. I have not looked at this episode for years. I do like the cool dynamic between O'Brien and Bashir. That was great. But other than that, it was kind of like a mid-episode for this season. However, I wanted to ask you, Scott, because I looked at the actor that played Sarra. He's been in Star Trek before. I thought he was in a TNG episode where Barclay became a human computer. He was an alien in that episode. Is that the same actor? Do you know what I'm talking about?
You mean the older guy?
The older guy, the guy that played the Sarra, the original Sarra before he died.
Yeah, I'm looking. The actor's name is Kay Cutter, and please hold. I don't see. It says he's a Star Trek alumni, but I don't know. Oh, yeah. Okay, hold on. Yes, you're correct. He's played Cytherian in the Nth Degree on TNG. So you're completely correct.
I just referenced that episode recently because the part where Barclay's telling the computer what to do, that's what it's like when you're really locked in with ChatGPT. If you haven't seen the episode, see that part and you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about.
Oh, in AI we trust, I guess. Emily, first impressions.
It's not one of my favorites, but it's not terrible. I just... in a way, it's kind of like our first intro into O'Brien Must Suffer, because he absolutely does not want to go with Bashir. And I think it's funny that he's like trying to get Cisco to like assign someone else without saying, please don't make me sit in a shuttlecraft with this annoying asshole. Like, and Cisco's just like, oh, is there a problem?
You have something better to do.
Right.
Can't Lieutenant Peon take over for me? They can fly a shuttle. Let's do this.
Yeah. So I do enjoy that bit. And I mean, it is kind of fun, at least with Jake and Nog and Varis interacting kind of more as regular kids, or like trying to help her kind of interact with kids of her own age, because she obviously hasn't had much of that given her position and everything going on Bajor. So, I mean, it's not terrible, but not my favorite.
Yeah, for me, I enjoy it quite a bit, and mainly because I'm a big fan of O'Brien and Bashir, and having them, we had little hints of them, like O'Brien watching Bashir at the bar and being really annoyed, and now we've actually got a full episode with those 2 together, and the story is, it's not knock it out of the park, but I enjoy both the A plot and the B plot, so it's a good one for me, and I know this is one that a lot of fans aren't a fan of, but I'm not one of them. I enjoy it. Let's go ahead and dive in. And Nicole, you were talking about our good friend Varis and how she's 16. In fact, Gina Phillips was 23 when she filmed this, but she definitely does not look 23. So let's go ahead and talk about that aspect first with Jake, Nog, Varis, and all of that. Who wants to start? Nicole.
I really thought it was so cute, like watching them fawn over her, like, oh, we have to meet her. And then they were both afraid to talk to her. And then she's like, can I help you? And basically made them talk to her. It was a cute reminder that they are all kids, right? Like, how many times as a kid or a teenager has that actually happened? Maybe to you or someone you know, like, where you're like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. It was just really fun. And I thought it added kind of like a fun, childlike dynamic to the show, because in reality, I mean, they are kids, right? And they're probably bored out of their minds all the time. As you can see, like, they were sitting there just dangling bored. They didn't want to play baseball. They didn't want to do this, So it kind of added a little something fun for them to have this girl to kind of fawn over. But also, I thought it was really cute how they kind of reminded her that she's a kid too. Clearly, both of her parents were killed, so she was forced to grow up a lot faster than she probably had to. And it was, a nice kind of reminder for her that she is a kid, and yeah, she has this important position and stuff, but also like she could have kind of like childlike fun. It's okay to do that sometimes. And that's a good reminder for everybody, because even though we're all adults and we have responsibilities and life is hard sometimes, it's okay to have like that childlike fun and just shenanigans every once in a while. And I think everybody needs that. So it was really cute. I really liked the dynamic. I liked at the end how she was telling Cisco that like she wanted to hang out with them to learn more about him, and how she missed her parents and stuff like that. And it was just very wholesome, I guess is the word I'm looking for. I really enjoyed that like storyline. And then at the end with Nog getting the kiss, oh, I thought his head was going to explode. Like it was just
His lobes were going to explode.
It was so cute. Like I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. So it was really sweet. I enjoyed it.
You know, I threw out Jenna Phillips, who plays Varis's age, but I don't think I've ever said Cyril Lofton and Aaron Eisenberg's age. So Aaron Eisenberg was the same age, close as Jenna Phillips, 24. Cyril was 15. So he was actually a kid at this point, but the other two were playing younger than what they actually were. I know we've talked about this a lot already, but I do really, again, enjoy the Cisco Jake dynamic. And my favorite part of this episode is something, I don't know if it was scripted or if Avery Brooks just did it, but when the Nog and Jake are looking at Varis at the end of the episode and Varis gives Nog the kiss, if you watch Avery Brooks, he pokes Jake in the stomach and kind of pushes him off to the side. I'm just like, I love that. He's like, Dad's like, no, move on, move on. Emily, what do you got?
We finally see the bucket.
Oh, yeah.
And I find it kind of funny that if you think about DS9 and what's there, that you have these kids, teenagers, they don't have a lot to do. So what do they do for fun? They go steal Odo's bucket and fill it with oatmeal to try to prank each other. Like, it's one of those things where it's kind of ridiculous, but it's not really like harmful or damaging property, so you can laugh it off.
The look on Jake's face when the oatmeal
he's trying to keep the oatmeal.
Oh my god!
Oh no!
He's like, oh my god, like Odo.
Did either of the newbies think that was actually Odo before they realized it was oatmeal?
I did at first. I was
like,
no. I was like, oh god, is that Odo? I was like, no, it can't be.
Is that Odo?
But I was like, oh god, thank God it's not. But
I am glad that we finally have a bucket sighting, because I spoiled the bucket like episode 1.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned, if you ever go out and buy the Odo action figure from Playmates, his accessory is a bucket. So that's fine.
Scott is obsessed with buying Playmates.
I take that as you will. I do have in box Cisco, Kira, and O'Brien right now. Working on getting the rest. But Playmates made a lot of Star Trek figures. A lot. Way too many.
God, how much are they going for on average, the figures?
Oh, they're cheap. Because like I said, Playmates
$5.99.
was like, they were pumping those things out. So like I got these at a local toy resale shop, and he had each of them up for $5, $6.
Hold it.
Yeah. They're not a hot commodity, but they're fun. They're fun.
Tell
This
you
is
this.
actually my second Cisco and Kira, because they also came in a Captain First Officer set with the other captains and first officers. But I had that one like 20 years ago.
I picked up the Troubles with Tribbles figure of Cisco at I think it was an estate sale for the stunt actor you used to play.
Oh,
Cisco.
yeah.
Picked that one up. And I'm looking for the Micro Machine set 3 of the ships from the DS9. I think the last time I saw that on sale on Amazon, it was about $400 for that set.
Is that the one with the HMS Bounty, the bird of prey? Because that's a hard one to get.
That's a
I
hard
think
one to
that
get.
if it's the same one, that's the one where they actually even made the wings go up and down with the bird of prey.
I think they have the Enterprise E and the Voyager in that set.
Oh. Yeah, then you have all the collectors who want to get all the Enterprises, which I did, but I never was able to. One of these days, when I have disposable income. Okay, back to
so I found
toys.
out what I wanted to.
You found the notes? Go for it.
Yeah, I found my note. So when Nog and Jake were talking about their dads, and they're saying how helpful Cisco is, and Nog's like, talk to my dad about problems too, and she looks at him and she's like, was your dad helpful? level. No, not really. Like, I just thought that was great. Like, they're building up Cisco, and like Nog is coming to the realization that his dad is just not all that great. But I did like how like it was Nog who was giving the words of wisdom that helped come up, with a solution. The rule 9, opportunity plus instinct equals profit. And I thought that was a nice little way to like give Nog some credit.
Yeah, my favorite line between Jake and Nog is Jake says, "My dad's a pretty smart guy," and Nog's like, "Mine's too," in his own way.
Yeah, that was really funny.
Poor Rom. Anything else on the Varis, Jake, Nog side of things before we move on to the main cusp of the story?
I can't stop. They have a furry meetup on Saturday.
Oh my God, Jessi, I need you to pay attention.
No. I don't want to. I want to go to the furry meetup.
My wife is afraid of furries.
I will take pictures.
Yeah.
Sorry, I couldn't help it.
So they had a convention here on when like she was in college or something, and she had no idea what was going on. And she gets on the train with a bunch of furries, and she's like panicking and freaking out because she has no idea like who they are, what they are. And then like one of them touched her, and like that's just, that's a no. So
yes.
She
Same
just
for baseball mascots. Don't touch people.
Yeah, Ricky the raccoon. We got him fired.
Sorry. You're welcome. You're all welcome.
Got the raccoon fired?
We got the raccoon fired. So Emily and I went to a baseball game, and the raccoon, the mascot for the River Bandits, was being creepy and touched Emily.
He came up behind me and tickled me. Like, one, if you know me, don't fucking tickle me. And 2, if I don't know you, really don't fucking tickle me.
And 3, if you're dressed like a raccoon, really don't tickle him.
And where were
Unless
we?
I say it's okay.
We were at a Barnes and Noble the next night or something. And we're in line for our coffee, and we're talking about the raccoon touching her, and like the general manager of the Bandits was in front of us, and my brother knew the mascot, like the guy who played the mascot, and my brother was like, "My friend got fired from being the mascot for the Bandits." I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "Oh, he was touching some girl inappropriately." I was like, "I know who that is."
It's a small world after all, at least in the Quad Cities. Okay, let's move on to the cusp of the story with the Storyteller, with the Doll Rock and the Sarra and good old Miles O'Brien. Nicole.
It took me a while to figure out that the Sarra kind of did that on purpose by making O'Brien the one, and then he basically was botching it, and that guy had to jump up. And when Bashir said that at the end, I was like, oh, okay, I get it. Because I was like, what the hell? Like, why would O'Brien be the Sarra? Why would he be the one that was sent? He has no idea what the hell he's doing. He doesn't know who these people are. He has no interest. And by the way, they couldn't have picked a crotchety, angry man to be their Sarra. Like, it made no sense. And then when I found out when the guy tried to kill him, and then he told them what happened, and Julian said at the end, I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. I felt like a little dumb because I didn't really catch on to that at first, but I do like kind of how that turned around, because he's like, yeah, I'm not living here. Like, what the hell are you talking about? And I just, it was interesting kind of seeing that play out. And when the guy went to kill him, I wasn't expecting him. I knew something was going on. He was a little shady, but I didn't think he was going to try to stab him. And then I was like, oh shit, he's got a knife. He's ready to stab this guy. So yeah, it kind of escalated, and then it kind of worked out.
Yeah, the Sarra, in his lack of senility, is like, I need a patsy. I have Bashir and I have O'Brien. O'Brien feels like more of a patsy to me. Christopher?
First, don't try to stab someone when they're looking in a mirror. Like, don't sneak up behind them.
We never said this kid was smart.
It reminds me of like the line in Prince of Thieves and Robin Hood, don't attack downwind when you smell the garlic. And this guy.
I was waiting for you to mention my other favorite line from Prince of Thieves. Fuck me, he cleared it.
That is the best line.
He gets in the trebuchet or the catapult and goes over the wall, and Christian Slater's like, fuck me, he cleared it. Love that movie.
Yes.
Christian Slater was in Star Trek 6. Throwing that out there now.
When the doll rock came into view, it kind of gave me the final scene of Ghostbusters vibes. They're walking up top and
aim for the flat top.
You had the lightning, you had the wind, the crowds gathering, and they're all, everybody's scared. And then you have just, let's just go with it. Whatever you tell me, that's the plan. Let's go with it. This is great.
When someone asks if you're the storyteller, Brian, you say yes. This episode is interesting. You mentioned the lightning and the effects and everything. So they use the same studio that the last episode used, Studio 18, and they had to build this entire set, and they did it in about 4 or 5 days. So it was already expensive, and they have a lot of extras in this episode that they usually don't have. And for about 2 or 3 days of filming, the poor extras just had wind blowing on them the entire time with big ass fans, to a point where the director had to get a bullhorn out to yell at the extras to do things because they couldn't hear. So it was interesting. You guys are all talkative today.
Okay, well, I did find out that Cyril Lofton, because baseball, kind of played a little minor portion in this episode.
Buck Pakai.
Right? Yeah, yes. But, so, Cyril Lofton is Kenny Lofton's nephew. And Kenny Lofton played for the Indians. He was an all-star. He was a Gold Glove winner. Very good player. Not a Hall of Famer, but a very good player. And I just found that kind of interesting that they're baseball hasn't been played in hundreds of years, and with the way that baseball's going, that might be right.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at Tampa Bay, they can't give tickets away. But yeah, no, I do like that little callback to culture and what's going on. We don't usually get that. We always get the Federation, but we don't get Earth stuff. So that's fun. Nicole.
Yeah, I actually wrote that down too and highlighted that because I thought that was interesting. I'm like, they stopped playing baseball hundreds of years ago. What the hell do they do for fun now? What games do they watch? Do they go to, is there still hockey? What's happening, I really was kind of taken aback to hear that. But I guess with technology and the way things evolve, they probably don't need it anymore. But yeah, and it's interesting, Christopher, that you said that, because Lofton I was like, why do I know that name? And now that you say that, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that baseball player. It totally makes sense. So what a cool way to kind of throw that in and tie it back. That's what I love about shows where there can be a reference to something. Scott and I were talking about this with The Pit the other night. There was a reference to an ER episode and the ER helicopter. And I was like, oh my God, I went back and I watched it because I didn't get it at first. And I was like, damn. But I love when you can find something like that in shows and they reference something that people know, but it's low key. I like that.
For those of you who have watched ER, the helicopter scene. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
I have no arms.
The best way to write out a character ever.
That guy sucked anyways, so.
The other behind the scenes thing I wanted to throw out to you guys is, and Christopher, you've kind of mentioned that this show gets better when it's not trying to be TNG, when it's trying to be its own thing. And I think it did a good job in this episode, but this script was given to the staff writers. It was a pitch, which Star Trek was known back then for allowing novice people to do pitch meetings with their scripts. So you didn't have to be in the writer's room to give a story to the writers. This script was given to them in season 1 of TNG, and it sat in Michael Pillar's desk. And he would pull it out every year and go, is this the year for Storyteller? No. Is this the year for Storyteller? No. And finally, because they were hard pressed for scripts for this new show, they pulled it out of mothballs and they did it. And I think what Michael Pillar said on this was the problem with that script, the reason why they never filmed it is it was never about our characters. It wasn't about the TNG characters. It was about the aliens of the week and this issue they're dealing with. What made this script work for DS9 was you put O'Brien and Bashir in there and you made it about them more so than the MacGuffin. And that's where that script came out. So I just like the idea that this script sat there in mothballs for about 5 or 6 years and finally found its way.
So it sat there for 5 or 6 years and they couldn't take out the virgins coming in and being offered to O'Brien.
Hey, he was very good to Keiko. It was fine.
He was very good, but
and that one of the girls looked like, oh, ouch, and she walked away. Nicole?
That was like some total 90s shit though, because you wouldn't see that in a show today. Like we were just talking like last
Have you
night.
watched Game of Thrones?
No, I've only seen a couple episodes, but like I feel like stuff that they got away with in the 90s can't be made now. Like for example, we were watching Clueless last night and there's a couple lines in there. I'm like, there is no way that would be said in a movie now, like made today. You know what I mean? It was the kind of the time. So like it's so funny to see those things that like shit they do in the 90s that you can't do now. But like that's exactly Christopher, like the Three Virgins, like that is something that you probably wouldn't see in a show now, like a current show. Like here, have some ladies.
Well, because it's just like a throwaway gag, right? It doesn't bring anything to the story, and it's just, you know, like it wasn't necessary. You know, it doesn't take away anything, but you know, like why have it in there? But
Yeah, I hear you. The one thing I do like is every character aside from the station personnel is a Bajoran. So Varis is a Bajoran. The other folks that she's negotiating with are Bajorans. This village that Bashir and O'Brien at are Bajorans. So I like the fact that usually Star Trek makes cultures monolithic to where all Klingons are the same, all Romulans are the same. With the Bajorans, we're already starting to see that there are different groups and different sects of these folks. And that makes perfect sense. They have been being held back for decades by the Cardassians, and they haven't been able to unify or do any of that. They're having to scrap around, and we see that. And I appreciate that. We don't get that much in Trek. It's usually like, oh, your entire planet is the same civilization, same culture. Jessi?
Speaking of her being the only Bajoran, at the very beginning when they were talking about the meeting that they were going to have, and she's like, I can't remember what she said to Sisko, but Sisko snapped back at her and cut her off. And I'm like, and then he had the nerve to say, well, you know, you'll be there in the room in case I do anything wrong. And I wanted to be like, well, then why the fuck didn't you let her finish her statement? Like, you just cut her off, and because she's like, I can't remember what she said, something about Commander, and he was like, do you have a problem with what I'm doing? And it's like, well, why don't you let her finish her fucking statement, and maybe she would tell you without you having to fucking ask. So he's like gotten a little snappy lately, and the last couple fucking episodes, and luckily Kira will tell him shut the fuck up. Like, she's just like, hey, I don't give a fuck, moving on. I don't know, he kind of snapped at her, and I was like, maybe if you would have just let her finish.
I do like how Nana Visitor plays that scene at Quark's, though. She sits at the bar and she's like, I need a drink.
Yeah, give me a double or whatever.
Yeah, I'll make it a double. It's been a day. I love Kira. She's great.
Well, you would think that you would let the only Bajoran that actually was there and like knew what happened to like have a little bit more input than playing the fun sidekick in the meeting. Like she literally sat in the meeting like, oh fuck, like people are talking and she's like,
Well, and we've seen Sisko do that before. Like the one episode, he literally backed away and let Kira take over because she was speaking on behalf of the Bajoran government. But yeah, I can see what you're saying. But I think Sisko in general has done that in the past.
But because, you know, these were Bajorans and they seem to be two different sects of Bajorans, is it maybe that she is in a different sect and doesn't have the trust of either the parties who were not either or, you know, one of them, and wouldn't be a good arbitrator? You know, would one of the other parties at the table not want her to be arbitrating?
Well, she knew nothing. She knew no more about them than he did. He was asking her questions and she's like, I don't know. They're like a subsection that nobody knows about. They don't even associate with anybody. And then in walks the young girl. But I don't know. I mean, you would think that somebody who's been that person her whole life would know more about it than him. And you're right. Like maybe, but I didn't get that from that. Like I didn't see anything in the show that would have been like, oh, well, Kira's just going to piss him off by walking through the door. Because she started to say something. He snapped at her and then had the nerve to ask her. And I'm like, I just don't like it. I don't like the fucking I wear the pants type shit. I don't know if you can tell or not, but I may have power and control issues. I'm not sure. But like, I don't appreciate people cutting me off.
It's
it
okay.
fucking pisses me off.
Jessi has power and control issues. Emily, as we've learned over the past 2 years on the other show, has trust issues. So we're doing fine.
And that's why me and Jessi are friendies.
Do you know how many times a day I say, wow, I was literally right in the middle of a sentence? Did I do something that made you think that maybe I was done talking? That usually shuts them up quickly.
Your bosses must love you.
Oh, they don't. They don't. They don't. That's why I got wrote up the other day for threatening to eat somebody's Post-it note. We're moving on.
Okay.
Yep.
Add a little fiber to the diet, little cellulose.
You know, turns out you can't just open your mouth and let whatever come flying out that you want. But, you know, it only took me 10 years to figure that out. We're fine.
I have not learned that part yet. I'm still working on it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And just you look like you have something to say because like you're making all sorts of gestures here.
He's
wait. I'm just fascinated. By Jessi. I'm like, what the heck? Wow. A day in life in your office has to be a treat. I mean, I'm just saying.
Well, you know, you can always come hang out for a day and just see what it kind of looks like because
you could job shadow the snake milking.
Never a dull fucking day around Jessi.
Anyone else got anything on the episode proper before we move into the questions predictions?
I just like
go ahead.
One other thing was I kind of like, you know, how like another theme was like it is kind of forging your own path and stepping out of your predecessor's shadows. Like because with the Sarra and his apprentice, him having to step in for O'Brien, he was finally able to step out of the previous Sarra's shadow. And in the negotiations, Varis, she was able to, you know, stop relying on the legacy of her father and become her own leader. So I thought that was a good theme.
Okay, let's go ahead and move into questions predictions for the newbies before we kick them out and we talk spoilers. For those of you who are just joining us for the first time, these guys have not watched past Storyteller. So we're going to ask if they have any lingering questions or predictions. And Jessi, are you going to tell me no again?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Okay, I'm just checking. Christopher, what do you got?
So are the Bajorans going to remain united? And I know he wasn't in this episode, or maybe he was in the background and I just didn't see him. But is Morn going to be like integral to the story somehow? Like, because you don't just have that much makeup and that much costuming.
He was in the episode.
Just to be a side character, just to be like a sight gag.
Quark did give him a joke and Morn kind of laughed. So,
but that's all I got.
Okay. Nicole.
I do have one.
Jessi.
Sorry. Do we ever get to see?
Oh, go ahead.
I was right in the middle of a sentence. Go ahead.
I was about ready to say you cut Nicole off, but then I cut you off to cut that off. So go ahead.
No, I just have one real quick. Do we ever get to see Nog's back of his head not in a drape? Like, do they decide he's a big enough character that they can actually finish the rest of his makeup on the back of his head?
Yeah, I did mention that the cape on the back is because they want to save some time. But
the cape now pisses me off. Thank you, because I see it and I'm like, wow, he's a really big character. Finish his head, please.
Finish his head, please. Nicole, what do you have?
Just kind of like how we learned a little bit more about the different areas of Bajorn, like the different sects or whatever. Are we gonna get to learn more about some of the other alien races throughout the show? Because I thought that was really cool to kind of see the different factions, I guess, of them. So I was just wondering if we'd get to kind of have something similar throughout the show with different alien races.
Okay, we'll go ahead and leave those there for now. We're going to kick the newbies out and then we'll answer those questions with our folks who have watched the entire show when we get back. But a reminder that please check out our social medias, join the conversations. Also, if you can, take a look at our Patreon and you can get an access to our Discord on that. And a big thank you to our producers. Those are the folks listed down in the show notes that provide the highest support every single month. We really do appreciate you. And we'll be back next week to talk about Progress, which is an interesting one. I look forward to that conversation. Nicole is giving the skunk face.
I had like hair in my mouth, like my hair went in my mouth and I was like, it's gross. Sorry.
Excellent.
Long hair problems.
It happens.
Okay, well, on that note, we'll go ahead and leave you all there. Until next week when we talk Progress, I've been Scott, and with me has been
Emily
and Jessi, and I'm going to start working on my new furry name.
Yeah, no, we'll love that. Christopher.
Prentice.
And Nicole, and no furries.
Go ahead and give Jessi
Post-it eater.
No, that's the comment for the day. In the comments section, go ahead and tell Jessi what her new name is going to be.
As a furry. So first of all, tell me what I'm going to be, because we need to decide what kind of furry I'm going to be. And then
You should be a bird.
A mountain lion.
A koala, because they're vicious.
Oh, fuck.
I know somebody who stayed in a hotel and there was a furry convention going on, and there was furries having sex all over the hotel, in the lobbies, in the hallways, in their full costumes. Like,
you can't get an STD if you're in costume, right?
Prentice, remember you're signed for 7 years, man. You can't quit.
What am I missing? Furries? What is this?
Oh, you're missing a lot of things.
So many things. So many things.
You dress up in furry costumes that are actually really expensive if people get them custom made.
Yeah.
And they go out and find other furries, and then they have furry sex. You're welcome.
Literally.
Little furry orgies.
And if you listen to Fox News, they have litter boxes. But
And then,
that's
and then they have super furries. Their babies are super furries. You're welcome. We're done. I'm done. I'm
I'm going to bed.
Can we
That's too much.
please?
Goodbye.
No, we're going to
Goodbye.
finish it. No. People don't listen. Wait.
Prentice is not done.
So
Maybe Prentice
there's a
wants
group
to
of
find
people
his
like to
furry
dress up in
match.
costume as furry animals, and they have the kink where they like to get
Yes,
down
yeah.
with the furry costume.
Yes.
Don't
yeah.
kink shame.
They seek other furries, and then they have super furries. You're welcome.
It's totally a thing. It's real.
Well, I'm done. All right, thank you.
I'm done.
Don't
He's
knock
like,
it
I'm
until
done with
you
people. That's it.
it.
There is something out there for everyone.
All right, I'm done. I'm
going to bed.
I don't look good with a tail. I'll see you guys later. Have a good night.
Bye, love you.
Bye.
Oh.
So no butt plug with a tail for Jessi? Is that what we're saying? Oh, she left. Shit. Okay, now I'm leaving. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to Especially the Lies, a Deep Space Nine podcast. You can find all the places to listen to and watch this podcast by searching for Especially the Lies on your podcast app or on YouTube. We want to hear from you, so join the conversation at Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Be sure to subscribe and leave a review where you are listening to or watching this podcast. Especially the Lies is not affiliated with, and the podcast has not been prepared, approved, or licensed by Paramount or any other owners of the Star Trek copyright. All clips included in this podcast are the intellectual property of the respected copyright holders. They are included here for purposes of review, and no infringement is intended.
Why have you brought me here? Show yourselves. What do you want?
The Cisco has returned to us.
He arrives with questions.
There are always questions.
If you're still with us, I'm sorry. It's all
I'm
Emily's fault. Exactly. It's all Emily's fault.
How is it my fault? I didn't bring up the furry story this time.
This time. Exactly. This time. Okay, let's go ahead and move into our spoiler section. So, reminder that if you have not watched past Storyteller or don't remember what comes next, leave now. And if not, we'll go ahead and answer. And we actually got some decent questions this week, so we'll go through those. So, Emily, go ahead and get us started.
All right. So Jessi wants to know if we ever see the back of Nog's head, and we will. And it'll look like a butt crack, and that will probably make her uncomfortable.
I do love the fact that Nog color coordinates, though, when he becomes a cadet in Starfleet, his cape becomes the maroon. I love that.
Yes. I do like that. Let's see. Christopher asked if the Bajorans are going to remain united, which does become an interesting topic in the future.
Mm-hmm. Well, next episode, I mean, this is really a good little cue up for the next episode where Kira has to deal with some folks who refuse to listen to the provisional government. And that's just the first of many. Prentice, what do you got on that one?
I was going to talk about the future episodes, especially regarding the farm equipment that Kira had to deal with and that kind of dynamic. We do see additional conflicts with the Bajoran people regarding the politics in their culture, especially when we get to Wynn and some other people. So Yeah, that's definitely going to happen. It's going to be a lot of kind of conflict internally with the Bajoran people.
Well, and that's one of the things that Cisco desperately tries to keep going throughout all 7 years, is not only as a member of the Federation trying to keep Bajor protected, but also as the emissary trying to protect Bajor, especially when he really starts realizing that he has to take on more of a role as the emissary. And of course, in season 6, he gets Bajorans to join the Dominion because that's the only way to protect them from the Dominion. So it's an interesting time for sure.
And then Christopher asked, what's the deal with Morn? Which is hilarious because there is actually
What's the deal with Morn?
There's an entire episode where we figure out why Morn lost his hair. And it's hard to imagine that he had hair because, you know, we haven't seen him with it.
There is an entire episode called Who Mourns for Morn? And Morn doesn't speak in the episode. In fact, they think he's dead for most of the episode.
But we
Emily,
learn about
how did
him.
he lose? Wait a minute, Emily. How did he lose his hair? I don't remember that. What happened?
The latinum. He ingested the latinum in his extra stomach, so it was like a metal toxicity, is what they implied when he spits it back out to pay Quark for helping him out to get it, since they had stolen all of it, and they were waiting for statute of limitations to run out before they could be prosecuted for that crime. So,
and there is, like I said, Playmates made an action figure for everybody. There is a Morn action figure.
oh, there's a Morn. I'm gonna have to find one.
Yeah, he's relatively cheap on eBay. You're fine.
You're on my same page. So I'm going to ask this question. Did you ever play the Deep Space Nine video game that came out?
Yes, there was actually 4 or 5, and I'm actually going to plan on, again, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube. I'm going to plan on playing some of those games as we get closer to the storylines. There's one that was on the Super Nintendo that is based in Season 1, Season 2. So that one, there's no real spoilers for anything coming up. And then the one I played the most, which I don't even know if you can find a copy of it anymore, was Dominion Wars, where you actually flew around as either a Jem'Hadar ship or a Federation ship, or I think a Klingon ship too. And you went through missions that were kind of based off of the, call to arms and all of that. So that was a good one. And then there was also Harbinger, which was a first-person shooter. Those are the 3 that I played, but I think there's 5.
Really? I mean, I know the one that you mentioned in the beginning for Super Nintendo. The other 2 games, was that strictly PC or was that something else? Okay,
Yeah, they were
got it.
PC.
All right, got it.
All right. And then Nicole asked, will we learn more about other alien races?
Sorry, I'm going to cut you off, Emily, much like I do for Jessi.
That's fine.
So there was 4 games. Crossroads of Time, which was 95. Harbinger, which was that first... Harbinger was not the first-person shooter. That was a little different. That was a PC game. The Fallen was the first-person shooter, and that one was dealing with a Pa Wraith, and that is a PC game from 2000. And then the last one was Dominion Wars, which it says on this list a strategy game, but it really is kind of a flight sim as you fly around like as the Defiant and stuff. So, but yeah, I definitely plan on sometime, maybe the summertime when things are a little less crazy, doing a playthrough of Crossroads of Time. So should be interesting because I may have an extra legal copy of that.
Oh, really? Okay. All right.
Yeah. Sorry, Emily, go ahead.
That's okay. So our last question is, will we learn more about other aliens from Nicole? Since we're learning more about Bajorans, will we learn more about others? And yes, we will.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the strength of DS9.
Quite a few, actually.
Yeah, I mean, we get a lot of Klingon culture, which TNG
Yes.
did a fair job of that one too. And I think mainly because Ronald D. Moore became the Klingon writer guy, and he moved over to DS9.
Yeah.
So we get a lot of that. We do learn a lot about the Ferengi, more
We learn
Bajoran
about
stuff.
The Cardassians.
Cardassians, absolutely. And
then
the Dominion's not a race, but the founders, the Jem'Hadar, we do learn
Yes.
about them a lot too.
Yeah.
I think that's DS9, because they couldn't bounce from planet to planet every week, had to do those long-running stories, and I think that is why it's such a better show, in my opinion.
That's why I like it better.
The one other thing too on the Bajorans, we're still kind of transitioning from the original original Bajoran makeup where they had little ridges above their eyes with the ridges on their nose. That was what Ro used to have in TNG. And we saw a little bit of the Bajoran extras still had those ridges too. I think because this had the extra makeup, the prosthetics. So we're still transitioning to the normal Bajoran we'll see for the rest of the show.
It wasn't in question, but it was funny that they brought up baseball because we will get a baseball episode.
We're going to see Buck Pakai. Buck Pakai is going to be in like 2 episodes from now. If wishes were horses, he's going to be he's going to be Cisco's spirit thing, whatever that shows up.
Yeah.
And I will say one of my favorite episodes of television, not just DS9, not just Star Trek, is Take Me Out to the Holosuite. I freaking adore that episode. Death to the opposition. He's stealing first or stealing second. What do I do? Find him and kill him.
And one of the other things that was brought up when Jake and Nog were talking to Varis and talking to their dads about getting good advice, and Nog says, "My dad's smart in his own way." We do find out later Rom is a very talented engineer.
Rom is a genius. Rom saves the Alpha Quadrant with his self-replicating minds. And he gets the girl.
Yes, he does. And I find it interesting that we start to get a hint of it, but it's gonna be a while before we get there.
Well, and I think as we've already discussed, they're still fleshing out that character, and part of that is Max Grodenchik does so well with that role, much the same way with Aaron Eisenberg and Nog. Both of them, because they're so good, they get more to do, and the writers start realizing, okay, let's give more for Rom, let's give more for Nog, to a point where Nog is in Starfleet by the end of it, and Rom again is running the station.
Yeah, it's interesting how some of these initially side characters become so integral to the overall plot as the show progresses, which they might find surprising because I don't know that many other series do something to that extent.
Again, I bash on the other Treks a lot, but I do enjoy them for the most part. But look at Voyager. Harry Kim was an ensign on day 1 and was an ensign on the last day. Boy, didn't change at all.
Yeah.
Wait, did they ever explain that the actor that played Harry Kim just said, you know what, they forgot, or they just thought it would be a funny gag? What happened with that?
Well, no, because Paris gets promoted. I think B'Elanna gets promoted. Yeah. The one thing that the actor plays Harry Kim. Oh my goodness, I'm blinking on his name right now. But the one thing the one thing he has said is he was actually going to be fired. He felt that it was between him and the person who played Kes. So when 7 and 9 was going to come in, somebody had to go. Of course, it was Kes. But the story that he gives is Harry was on the chopping block, but that year he was named one of Hollywood's most sexiest people. Garrett Wang. Thank you, Garrett Wang. And so Rick Berman couldn't fire him because he was popular.
Well,
I did not know that, but also I think they probably made in the long run the best move because the actress that played Kes, did she have some mental health challenges at one point?
She still does. Yeah, she's done a lot of drug use. She's been arrested a lot, and unfortunately, she hasn't had much of a career since then. And I think, so it was definitely something that was very rough. But
Did it start while she was filming Star Trek, or did it happen afterwards?
I don't know. There's actually a Voyager documentary coming out for the 30th anniversary, and I'm sure that will come up. Much like the Terry Farrell stuff, definitely is a part of the DS9 documentary. So we may learn more then. There may be some more stuff out there, but I was never. I mean, like I said, Voyager didn't even air in the 90s where I lived because I didn't have satellite, and UPN wasn't an affiliate in our area. So the only time I got to watch Voyager was if people handed me VHS tapes that they copied off their satellite dish.
Oh, wow. Where did you grow up in the 90s, Scott?
In Quad Cities, Illinois. Same place as Emily and Mike. Mike had satellite, so he could get it. I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't.
I didn't miss much after watching the whole thing.
Voyager was actually pretty decent. It's not as good as DS9 nor TNG, but it had its good episodes. Actually,
that's right. Yeah, I agree. And this is one thing that was kind of brought up in our live chat we did earlier this week is the problem with Voyager was it didn't trust its premise. It could have been one of the best shows. It's like, okay, you've got this vessel, which isn't even a really big, beefy, like Galaxy class. It's a science science vessel, and they are stuck 70 years away, and half their crew are Maquis, which we'll meet the Maquis here on DS9 soon. But within like the first month of the show, the Maquis are hunky-dory with everybody, and they can, make as many torpedoes and shuttlecrafts as they want. So
except for what's her face?
Seska?
Yes. She was
the one
awful.
that if you watch Prodigy actually, I think in a roundabout way, explains how Voyager kept making shuttlecrafts. Because on on Prodigy, on the Protostar, the ship that they're on, it has a mass replicator that can replicate shuttles. I was like, that is definitely an answer to Voyager.
Interesting.
I mean, when you think about it, all the technology they have and they're able to materialize materials, to me, it never struck me as really strange that they can build stuff if they just get access to the raw materials. And I thought that was plot. I didn't really hang my hat up and say, let's show us BS because they keep making torpedoes and shuttles. It made sense theoretically, I guess.
Yeah, I definitely will say part of my bias is as a kid / high schooler, I watched original series, I did watch TNG, and I watched DS9, and I watched Enterprise. But Voyager, because of the UPN thing, I never got to actually watch it firsthand. I've seen it now, but there's probably still some episodes I haven't seen just because I, have missed them. But I do remember when Sulu was on there with their flashback episode, I had to get a pirated VHS copy because I had to see that one. Because oh, it's Sulu.
Since we're talking about Scott, what is your favorite Voyager episode?
Oh man, I don't know. I don't have one. It is my least favorite of the main series.
Okay.
Probably Flashback, because I enjoy the play on Star Trek 6.
No, it's a salamander episode, and you know it.
Oh no, not the salamander episode.
Oh.
Well, they kind of let it ride that, Harry Kim and Janeway had a illegitimate kid that still lives in the swamp. Actually, not one, but two.
Yes.
So that's what happens when you go faster than the warp speed limit that you de-evolve.
Yep. You go warp 10, and there you go. You make babies with lizards.
Tuvix.
Tuvix, yes. I was never a Voyager guy. I'm sorry. I know I'm going to get a lot of hate for that, but I was just never a Voyager guy.
It had its redeeming qualities. I think for me, Year of Hell, two-parter, is probably one of my favorite.
Well, yeah, because Year of Hell was what the entire series should have been.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
And that's another Rick Berman thing. I bash on Rick Berman a lot with DS9, and luckily he doesn't continue to be in control of DS9 through the entire series. But Rick Berman, the writers came to him for Voyager and said, we want to do a season where they have to go through this expanse, much like Enterprise would do, and we're going to have to survive, and there's going to be consequences. And Rick Berman said, no one wants to watch an entire series like a season like that, so you can do one episode. And they begged him to get 2 episodes, and that's what they got. So, but that could have been an entire season.
In concept, it does sound really cool, but I can understand why Rick Berman would say it might be too much. That was a very dark and bleak part, right? So to do that for 24 episodes, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I mean, Enterprise did it in season 3, and for better or for worse. I think there's some really good episodes of Enterprise for that, and there's some post 9/11 episodes that are kind of cringy, like when Archer has to torture somebody because he's Jack Bauer.
Jack Bauer, good old days. No, but seriously, how much did the ratings go up in season 3 of Enterprise? Was it effective? I mean, I watched it and I enjoyed it for what it was, but
I don't think the ratings. I mean, again, same idea. UPN was in the middle of transitioning to WB, and UPN was still trying to milk Voyager throughout the run. I don't think the ratings ever bumped. I think the fandom believes that season 3 and season 4 are the strongest seasons, but at that point, the show was on its last leg anyway. There was a plan for season 5, if you, and actually you see it in Picard season 3, they were going to add a secondary hull to the NX-01 and make it look more like a Constitution class ship. And that's the Enterprise we see at the Fleet Museum. It has that secondary hull. So they had plans for season 5. They just couldn't get there.
Season 4 is really good. My favorite episode of season 4, because the funniest is also some of the campiest material. It was the Mirror Universe episode.
Yes.
When Salto
Mirror.
Salto,
Oh no, Mirror was the original series. It's Through a Mirror Darkly is the episode.
Through a Mirror Darkly. like I said
Which also
before,
answers the question of where did the Defiant go when it went into the Folian web back in the original series? It went back in time to another universe. Okay. Hi, Emily. You're still here.
Yes, I am. In fact, let's go. I'm just listening.
I will say one thing that Blake has talked about, and Blake hasn't been on the show much because he's busy. But one thing Blake wants to do is more just general Star Trek conversations like this. So one of these days, we'll get that going.
Okay, good stuff.
Until then, we can just nerd out here in our spoiler section. That's fine too.
I would like your opinions because I do have something. Because Jessi was commenting on Cisco being kind of short and snappy with Kira. And as the season progresses, our generally happy Cisco becomes, I'm trying to think of a word for it. I mean, obviously angry. They're fighting the Dominion and it's an absolute shit show. Especially when he gets pulled up into some like office job that he hates. But I'm kind of wondering what you expect her reaction to that to be, like his overall change in demeanor.
For me, I think it will make a little bit more sense. The interaction that was in this episode, that was awkward. That's to me, the first season of Cisco is really awkward and how he relates to other people, and he's not smooth. As time goes on, I think he becomes, yes, he's more aggressive because now he's a war commander in many ways, but it all makes sense. There's a certain finesse and a smoothness to the character as it progresses that shows that I'm in command. What I say makes sense. And even when he disagrees with people, it makes sense and is well acted. In this first season, it seems a little bit choppy, the way that he interacts with people and has those really snappy retorts and comes out of character.
Yeah, I think part of it, and we've kind of already discussed this a little bit too, is two things. One, the writers don't know how to write for Cisco yet. And the powers that be do not want Avery Brooks to play what he wants to play. And we will see first when he grows the goatee and when he shaves the head that Avery becomes much more comfortable in the role, and the writers start realizing that they can do more with the character too.
Yeah, and okay, so I will admit that Tubi had Spencer for Hire and A Man Called Hawk, so I have watched all of both of them, and after watching them, it is interesting to go back and rewatch the later seasons of DS9 to see that kind of attitude change in Cisco, because there's a similarity there.
I just like that the newbies have brought up a couple times. They mentioned in our live show last week that Avery's got a good singing voice. We're going to see him croon a couple times. I can't wait for that. The best is yet to come, which is right before the last few episodes of season 7, is just an amazing thing. We also get to see Nana Visitor do a duet with, or a rendition with Odo. So I can't wait for Vic to show up. Can't wait.
I'm not sure what they're going to think of that, because to be honest, like the first time I actually sat down to watch DS9 and pay attention and not just like background noise it, I really wasn't sure what to think about the whole Vic thing, but I ended up really enjoying his character. I think he brought something that was needed to, like, you know, everything was dark and heavy, and you have to remember that you gotta find something to release some of that once in a while so you don't go crazy.
Well, literally that's what he does for Nog.
Yes.
He gives Nog the ability to deal with his PTSD.
I think it's funny that Nog helps him with his finances.
I think really part of that too is James Darren, who passed away recently, is just an amazing actor. He plays it so well, and he has so much fun in that role. And so I think the writing for Vic is great, and James Darren plays it so well. I've still got an album of James Darren, which is basically all of the DS9 songs, and I listen to it on occasion because it's awesome. Anything else, guys? Are we good? We done? I think our spoiler section may be just as long as our normal talk this time. That's great. I am looking forward to Progress. I think Progress is a heavy episode, and I think it's Kira gets a lot to do, and I will be very curious on how specifically Jessi and Christopher feel about that episode. I'm looking forward to it.
Agree.
So until we get to that point next week, again, remember to like, subscribe, follow, check out all of our links down below, and join us on the conversations and all of our social medias. And we will be back next week to talk Progress. And we are cruising along here. We're only about 2 months from the end of season 1, so we're going to get there pretty quick. Until next week, I've been Scott, and with me has been
Emily.
Prentice.
Have a good one, folks. Don't let the doll rock get you.
Or the good Lord split ya.
Jesus.
Oh. Wow.
I absolutely ship Bashir and O'Brien, and we will continue to do that.
I know how to make it weird.
I don't think it's weird at all. I think they have one of the best relationships in all of Star Trek.
Yeah, they do. Eventually.
Second only to Odo and Kira.
Oh, I still struggle with the Dax and Worf relationship, but
That's
once
a little
the Klingon braid happens, I'm like, okay, I get it now.
Worf was the best thing for Jadzia. I mean,
he really was.
Because Curzon loved the Klingons. Jadzia was a very strong woman, and so just being with a Klingon made sense. What gets really creepy, and I like Ezri a lot, and I like season 7 a lot, but when Worf gets weird with Ezri for a few episodes and gets jealous when she's hanging out with Bashir, that gets a little that gets a little cringy.
It does, but it also, I mean, it makes sense because he knows it's her, but it's not.
Well,
but
we'll
anyway,
have this conversation in like literally 2 years. So look forward
to it by then.
Have a good night, folks. See
All
ya.
right, see you next week.
All right.
You're sure this is the place? You saw the readout. There's only one female her age visiting the station. And these are her quarters. Well, go ahead. What? Ring the bell. Me? You're the one who wants to meet her. Are you afraid? Of a girl? Then ring! You ring! You are afraid! No, I'm not. You are!
What are you doing?
My name's Jog. I mean Jake.
He's Nog, I'm Jake Sisko.